Welcome to today's webinar on how the image editor makes custom transfer ordering easy. My name is Andy Curtis. I am the customer service and graphic design manager here at Transfer Express. I'm a lot of things here at Transfer Express. If you've joined me before, then welcome back. If this is your first time, then I am so happy to have you, and I look forward to giving you a whole bunch of great information about our image editor and our EZView online designer during the next 45 minutes. If you guys have questions, please use the chat box. I have a friend in the background there who just said hi to everybody, who's going to help me watch for your questions. If you've joined me before, you know that I love interacting with you all, and I will try to answer all of your questions, but inevitably what will happen is I will start talking and I will totally miss one of your questions. It is not because I want to ignore you, it is because I have something important to say, I promise. So if I do miss your question, then my helper behind the curtain will pop in there and answer it. Otherwise, I'll do my best to answer your questions as we go here. So the goal for the next 45-ish minutes is that I want you guys to better understand our image editor tool in our EZView online designer. So if you have never used the online designer before, this is a little bit more of not quite a beginner class. This is for people who have at least used the online designer before. If you haven't, though, I encourage you to watch and absorb and take it in. If you have used the online designer before, then this is a new function that you may or may not have spotted in the last month or so. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to talk about how the image editor makes custom transfer ordering easy. So first off, I suppose we have to talk about what is EZView. So EZView is a tool that we provide you with at www.transferexpress.com. EZView is the name of our online designer. And basically, EZView is a way for you to design custom t-shirt transfers without having any artwork of your own. We've got over 7,000 layouts, 10,000 clip arts, hundreds of fonts, tons and tons of possibilities. You can put together your t-shirt design, your t-shirt transfers right there on the screen. You don't need to have any graphic design talent. We've tried to make something that is easy to use, easy to understand. It's got some advanced features. So for those of you who are a little bit above beginner level, there's some stuff in there that you can use to make your transfers look even better. But if you are at that beginner level, then we've tried to make it as friendly as possible. The best part about all of this is that there are no fees or subscriptions. The EZView online design tool is free for all active customers. Now, if you're not an active customer, if your account has gone dormant, then yes, you find that we do eliminate access. But as long as you place at least 2 orders with us a year, so 1 order every 6 months, then you have continuous access to this tool and you don't have to pay any extra for it. So that is a beautiful thing. And again, if you've never used the online designer before, if you've never even tried to use it, then I would suggest playing with it. I would suggest listening to some of our early webinars. We have a whole series of webinars on how to use the online designer. So the reason this webinar that we're doing today is a little bit different is because we've put out this feature called the image editor, and we want all of you guys to understand what it is and what it does. So, but like I said, if you've never used the online design tool EZView, then log on, give it a whirl, watch some of our earlier webinars, because we're not going to cover all the ground level basics. We're just going to talk about this one tool within EZView today. But that's what EZView is in a nutshell. Now, it's worth noting that if you have your own artwork, you can upload your own artwork into EZView as well. And that's actually sort of the crux of what we're going to talk about today. So if you do have your own artwork, you have the ability to upload it into EZView. But in the past, people have had some issues with that. It can be a little difficult sometimes, especially for those of us who aren't graphic designers. If you're not a graphic designer, then it can be very confusing. What's a bitmap and what's vector and a PDF or a JPEG or an EPS file? It's all very confusing. I totally understand. So it can be confusing. And what we've done is this image editor tool is meant to try and make this a little bit easier for you. And I'm sure we're going to get a whole bunch of questions to this effect. Alan's asked a good question right off the bat. Do you carry clip arts, layouts that fit into an automotive genre? So I'm sure everybody's going to ask, there's the automotive stuff, there's sports stuff, there's church stuff, there's work stuff. We have clip arts and layouts and artwork that fit into every category across the board. So this is where I have to encourage you, if you haven't before, jump on, use EZView, mess around with it a little bit. You'll find in some of our early webinars, we cover topics like that, like how can I search for an automotive clip art, that kind of thing. We're not going to go into that level of explanation for that topic today, though. All right, so this is what is this image editor that Andy keeps talking about? So the image editor tool within EZView, this is something relatively new, and the whole point is that we recognize that you're going to have artwork that is bitmap, and you want to edit that artwork, you want to mess with that artwork. Maybe it's changing the size, maybe it's editing the actual color placement of the artwork, that kind of thing. And the point is that you can't do that in EZView, so we're trying to make that possible. But let's take a step back even further. So I recognize that some of us might be at that beginner level access, or that beginner level with t-shirts in general. So what is a bitmap exactly? So what is vectorizing? When you tell me that this is a vectorizing tool, what does that even mean? So when you have a piece of artwork that is a JPG file or a GIF or a PNG, those are all referred to as bitmaps or raster. So I'm dating myself because I personally got used to calling them bitmaps many years ago. So, so I refer to them as bitmaps. Some people call them raster. It's all the same thing. So when you have a piece of artwork that is a bitmap, that means that that piece of artwork is made of pixels. So in my example here on the screen, you're looking at a lion. We've uploaded this picture of a lion. It's a bitmap, and we're going to vectorize this lion. But the image on the left, where it's labeled original image, the image on the left, that is the bitmap lion. Now, I know to us, it looks like a bitmap, but the reality is that's not an actual lion. It's a whole configuration of pixels that have been colored. So I can't click on that lion. If I wanted to change the color of his cheek to gold instead of red, I can't click on that cheek and change that color because that's not actually a cheek. That's a bunch of pixels that have been colored red in the shape of that cheek. So it's not something I can click on. If I wanted to click on a fang and make one of his fangs red, I can't do that because it's a bitmap. It's a series of pixels. It's not actually a fang. So when we say that this is a vectorizing tool, what a vectorizer does is it takes your bitmap artwork and it turns it into vectored artwork. So what is vectored artwork? Vector artwork is actual artwork. Vector artwork is made of shapes. It's not made of pixels, little colored dots or colored squares. Vector artwork is made of shapes. If this lion was vectorized, the oval behind him would actually be an oval that you could click on. The white square behind him would be an actual white square that you can click on and delete or change colors. But the point is, right now on my image on the left, that's a bitmap. So none of those things are actual real shapes. They're series of pixels that have been colored white or red or black. Once it's vectorized, however, they will be real shapes that can be clicked on, deleted, changed, recolored, and so forth. So the image editor in EZView takes your bitmap artwork and vectorizes it for use in the EZView Online Designer. So the question then becomes, okay, well, I understand, but how is that useful for me? And that's exactly what we're going to talk about. So when to use the image editor. So number one, if your artwork is raster, and again, as I just explained, raster files, bitmap files, JPEGs, .jpg, .tif, .png, BMP, etc. There's a ton of different kinds of files that are all exclusively bitmap. When you have these types of files, They are bitmap. So here's the funny thing. We've all had this happen. Somebody you've got a graphic designer, you've got a friend who makes artwork. Well, he made this artwork and they sent me this file. Okay, well, you can have vector artwork, and if your artist or your friend saves it as a .jpg, then it's bitmap now. I understand that they made it vector, but the fact that they sent you a JPG, that JPG is bitmap just because it's a JPEG. So when you have JPG, TIF, PNG, BMP, these are the most common types of bitmaps, raster files. No matter what you do, if you see that file ending on a file, it's a bitmap, period, end of story. You could also want to use the image editor if your bitmap image has that white background. So if you look at my lion here, you'll notice that he's got that white square behind him. That white square is part of the bitmap. Okay, now there are certain bitmaps that don't have those white squares, PNG files. But unfortunately, most bitmaps do. That white square is annoying because we don't want it there. I don't want that white square on the t-shirt. Gosh, that's ugly. Unfortunately, it's part of the bitmap. Now, the good news is we at Transfer Express, we know that you don't want that there. But when you're trying to design a t-shirt on the online designer and you might want to show your customer the design you've put together, that white square is annoying because it's not part of the artwork. So the beautiful thing about the image editor is when you vectorize this lion, that white square becomes a thing that you can get rid of. So again, that's one of the other benefits to using the image editor. Now, if I wanted to change some colors on this lion, that's another reason I would want to use the image editor. If I wanted to make all of his red areas gold, let's say, like maybe my high school's colors are red and gold, and I need to put this on a red jersey. So I don't want the red lion, I want a gold lion. If that's the case, I can't do that with a bitmap because I can't click on these red areas. Those red areas aren't shapes, they're series of pixels. So I could sit there and I could painfully change all the red pixels to gold. That would take forever, and we don't want that. So at the end of the day, when you vectorize this artwork, all those colors become shapes, and then you can click on the red shapes and make them gold. So much easier, so much easier. And it's also worth noting, if you're doing a transfer that is screen print, then you definitely want your artwork to be vector. If you're doing an order that is going to be digital, meaning stretch litho or CAD prints, then it doesn't really matter if the artwork is vector or not. We can actually use bitmap artwork in that case. For screen print, however, you're definitely going to want to have vector artwork. All right. And now this is also worth noting here, as we have on the slide. When you open your artwork in the online designer, the vectorizer will run automatically. So this is not something that you have to go to, like I'm not going to show you, here's where you got to click on the screen and here's where you got to start the vectorizer. No, no, no. When you upload your artwork, in this case, the lion is the one you're going to see throughout this whole webinar. When you upload your artwork, the vectorizer automatically starts for you. So that's great news. All right, so continuing our when to use the image editor. So like I said just a minute ago, if your artwork is full color, if it's digital, if it's like a photograph in this case, you see this person wants to do a photograph of their football team inside of a football shape. Now, I don't want to vectorize that. Mostly because the vectorizer is not going to make those humans look very good. The vectorizer is going to mutilate that artwork. So I don't want the vectorizer to actually vectorize this artwork. So when I upload this photograph, the vectorizer is still going to run. When that happens, I'd see a really cruddy output since the vectorizer is not made to vectorize photographs, and I would choose Use Original. So when you do use the vectorizer, when you are using the image editor, there is an option for Use Original, or you see right next to it, Use Vectorized. So sometimes your artwork can be very detailed, and maybe the vectorizer has a hard time with it. Maybe you've got so much detail that the vectorizer just can't quite master all that detail. You don't have to use the vectorized version. You can choose to click use original, and then you're good to go. All right. So here's another example of just a better design experience. So on the left hand side, you see the original lion the way it was before it went through the vectorizer. You see how that white square has blocked out all of my text. Now, obviously, I could bring that text on top and put that text in front of the white square, but that's annoying because I don't want that white square there at all. That white square is not part of the artwork. It's there because it's a bitmap. That's just part of the bitmap. So, very annoying. We don't want that white square there. You see that after we've used the image editor, not only did we delete that white square, you see here my example on the right-hand side, not only did we delete that white square, but then we were able to color the lion the way we wanted to, which is with the gold ink, right? So Crystal brings up a good point here. Most of the images that I upload, it says is too complex, and the only option is to use the bitmap. That's going to be the case sometimes, Crystal. If you're doing a lot of artwork that is super detailed and has a lot of stuff happening, then it might be too much for the vectorizer to handle. And again, the best example is the one you see on my screen here, where it's just a lion. There's not much to this. So if you've got designs that are a ton of colors or photographic or 3D or a lot of little tiny detail, the vectorizer might not be able to master that. But in our case, this artwork is pretty simple and ran through the vectorizer without a problem. Notice how we were also able to tilt the clip art the way we wanted to tilt it. We colored it gold. We stuck it in there. We got rid of that white square. All very nice, right? So it was just a much better experience. Now, again, we could have, if you look on our left here, we could have brought that text out in front, but then, you know, this established that should be right here and this 1963 that should be right here, you'd never see it because you've got the white square in the way. So for all I know, that 1963 might be there right now. I just can't see it because of that silly white square. But you see, that's the point, is because it's a bitmap and it comes in with that white square, that's annoying. We want to get rid of that. So that's, again, one of the things that makes the vectorizer, the image editor, so useful. So the other beautiful thing here is you notice that we were able to size it without having any problems. So if you look at my lion, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to tilt him a little bit. Like I don't want it to actually print exactly straight. I want him to sort of fit the curvature of that word Berkshire. But the problem is when I tilt the bitmap with the white square, and then I make the lion the size that I need, see my white square hangs outside of my image area. These dotted lines here that you see on the side, these dotted lines, that's the piece of paper the transfer is printing on. And EZView sort of gets upset and gets thrown out of whack because my artwork is going outside those dotted lines. Well, that white square is not my artwork. I don't want that. But again, you know, the online designer doesn't understand this because, you know, you've uploaded this artwork that has that white square. So what's beautiful is when we vectorize it, when we put it through the image editor and we can get rid of that white square, now I can size my artwork appropriately. The white square is gone. I can make my oval 11 inches wide or my whole design 11 inches wide without a problem, without these corners of the square getting in my way and causing an issue. So without the vectorizer, I wouldn't be able to size this correctly. Now, you could still place the order. You could still put some notes in the note section and explain to the customer service rep what you want to do, but it's kind of a pain in the butt, right? Like you don't want to have to explain. You want to just do it yourself. I mean, the tools are right there in front of you. So again, this is the beautiful thing about this image editor is that after vectorizing it, I delete that white square. I size the lion the way I want him sized. I can do all the stuff that I want to do. So Patricia's asking a good question here. Patricia says, will you show us how you vectorized the artwork to make adjustments? So that's the beautiful thing here, Patricia, is that there is no actual process. I'm going to go backwards a slide here, 2 slides actually. Right here, sorry. So this is actually this is part of the vectorizing process. The good news, Patricia, is there is no extra step you have to jump through. When you upload your artwork, it's going to show you this screen on the side where it has vectorized your artwork. It happens automatically, and all you need to do is click Use Original or Use Vectorized. So you don't actually, Patricia, have to actively do anything. It just happens when you upload your artwork. All right. So once you've clicked Use Vectorized, that's when you've got your lion in there and you can click on him, move him around, and do your thing. And again, Howard, so how do you get to the vectorizer? It's not actually a thing you even need to get to, Howard. It's something that starts automatically when you add your own artwork. So if you're in EZView, and you can actually sort of see the button in my screenshots here, when you're in EZView, there are a series of blue buttons along the side that say Add Clip Art, Add Layout. The bottom blue button says Add Your Art. When you click there and choose your art file, the vectorizer, the image editor, starts automatically. That's a beautiful thing. Henry's asking a good question here too, sort of off topic, not really. Would it be one price for that picture, or would it cost more for the colors? Because this is a screen print design, the more colors it is, the more expensive it is. So because my lion is going to be gold, white, and black, like you see on the right here, gold, white, and black, that's 3 colors. Now, here's the beautiful thing, actually, Henry, about this image editor. If I wanted to reduce the price, like, okay, it looks good in 3 colors, but maybe my high school doesn't have the money to pay for 3 colors. Because I've run it through the image editor, because the image editor has done its thing, I can turn this lion into a 2-color lion all by myself. I could take his white areas and make them show through to the shirt. And then maybe I take his gold areas and make them white. So I've eliminated the gold ink, and now I'm just black and white. Now I'm a 2-color. So that's a beautiful thing too. Oh gosh. Okay. Has anybody ever had this happen before? So we've got a bitmap. We've uploaded our bitmap, but I want to make a gang sheet. I want a big lion. I want some small lions. I want to do a baseball design. I want to do a whole bunch of stuff with this one lion. But the problem is these white squares overlap each other, and it overlaps the artwork, and it's in the way. This is so annoying, right? So by running it through the image editor and deleting that silly white square, I can size my artwork the way I want. I can set my own gang sheet up and tackle what I was just telling Henry on the previous slide here. Notice if you look on my right-hand side, after I've run the lion through the image editor and he's vectorized, I was able to color him 1 color, like you see my black and my gold lions here, or 3 colors, or I could have done 2 colors. The point is, I had the ability to color him the way I wanted after he ran through the image editor. So that's again, super, super useful. So Alan's asking a good question here too. Is there any other work that needed to be done by your staff that would add to the cost of the transfer? The only additional fee generally, Alan, is going to be shipping. This is unless you're doing rhinestones. If you're doing a rhinestone transfer, that's a whole other story. There's an extra fee for rhinestone setup. But every other product under the sun, there is no art charges, and the only extra fee is going to be shipping or rush charges if you try to rush an order, that sort of thing. Okay, so not only does vectorizing using the image editor, not only does that make your design experience easier, but it makes your life easier. See, without the image editor, on the left-hand side here, you see all of these notes. Right now, this is what our notes section looks like, where you see above my little crying face here. Our note section looks like this. Because this person didn't run their lion through the image editor, they had to type all of these notes. Large image on top, full layout, 11 inches wide by proportionate, red equals gold, small lion, middle left, 3 inches, size by proportionate, 1 color, black. They had to type all of those notes in there because they couldn't do what they wanted with that lion artwork. Because we could run it through the image editor, delete the white square, color him and size him, we didn't have to put any of those notes. So not only did you not have to sit there for 20 minutes typing all those notes out, But we here at Transfer Express, we're not confused by what you're trying to do. And we can just literally push this order straight through to my graphic designers. So that's good for us too. We love that. So again, it just makes your life easier. You don't have to put all of these confusing notes. Your order can go as is. You can make all the changes yourself without relying on us to read your mind or understand what you're trying to do. There's less back and forth communication. If you do type out all these notes, if we get confused by what you're trying to do, we might have to stop your order and call you and to discuss it with you and talk it out with you. The other thing too is keep in mind that by doing this myself, by getting rid of getting rid of the white square and coloring him the way I want to color him, the pricing on EZView is going to be accurate. I'm going to see the accurate price. If you've used EZView before, you understand that it shows you a price as you develop your artwork and you put in your quantity and stuff. But if I can't color my artwork correctly, if I can't even put my artwork together the way I need, the price it's showing me might not be accurate. So I can totally put everything together myself, and I know my price is accurate. And I feel confident that I know I'm going to get what I want. See, the downside to what's happening on this left-hand side here is that I have to communicate all of this with the customer service rep. And our customer service reps do their gosh darndest, but as a customer, I have to make sure I'm communicating clearly enough that they know what I want to do. If I don't communicate myself clearly, then I have to worry that they didn't understand, and maybe a mistake happens. Maybe, oh gosh, did I really explain to them that I wanted that line in one color black? So you never know. The whole point is by vectorizing it and editing it with the image editor, you can be sure the rep is going to understand what you want because you put it together. Oh, so this is a great feature of our online designer. And again, if you haven't used the online designer, this is one of those things where you sort of got to go back and watch some of our previous webinars. But for those of you who are familiar, we have our preview and share tool where you can actually see your design on a t-shirt, right? So the problem on the left-hand side, again, you see what happens when we have our bitmap lion and he's in the way and my preview on my t-shirt doesn't look quite right. Does anybody want the one on the left? Anybody? No? Nobody wants what's happening on the left there. So again, this is the beautiful thing about using the image editor. I was able to delete the white square. I was able to color the lion the way I want, put it together the way I want, and boom. I can arrange it on the shirt. I can create a preview for my customer. Looks professional, looks fantastic. Much easier. Molly is asking a question we get all the time. Molly is asking, is it possible to remove the watermark altogether? No, it is not, Molly. The watermark is there for security reasons, so the watermark cannot be removed altogether. You can change the watermark to say what you want, but the watermark cannot be removed. Again, one of the nice things about this image editor is because I vectorized the lion head, I got rid of the white square, I colored him, I sized him, I took care of business. I was able to produce, with our preview and share function, I was able to produce a picture of what it looks like on a shirt. Another good question from Molly, can you add a second image on a sleeve? So in this preview and share function, you can't quite do that, Molly, but on the previous screen before our preview and share function, when you're just putting your artwork together, you can absolutely fill that gang sheet. And actually, that's the idea. I'm going to go back a slide here. That's the idea with this gang sheet. So if you look here on the right, this is obviously not what I want to go on the shirt. This is a lot happening here. I'm going to put this Berkshire Lions established 1963. I'm going to put that on the front of the shirt. I'm going to put this black lion on the sleeve. Then I've got this design over here is for a baseball jersey. That's a totally different shirt. I've got this gold lion here that's going to go on baseball hats. And then I've got this Berkshire Lion shirt that's going to go on some small ladies' mom shirts. So this one sheet is able to produce a whole bunch of different stuff. Okay. Okay, so this is a little bit closer. Somebody asked this question a little bit earlier, what the process was. So this is sort of taking a better look at what the screen looks like on the image editor. So we're actually looking at the image editor right here. So this is the screen that pops up when I uploaded my lion at the very beginning of this process. When I uploaded my lion, this is the first screen that I see. On the left-hand side, I see my bitmap, the lion that I uploaded. On the right-hand side, I see the vectorized version of my lion. And gosh darn, if that did not turn out pretty well perfect, right? Now, the toolbar down this right-hand side has a whole bunch of stuff going on, and this is what I'm defining for everybody so you understand what these tools are. And again, this is one of those things where you sort of got to play with it. If you haven't played with it before, then you might be going, gosh, Andy, I don't understand. I totally get you. When you play with the vectorizer and you use these tools, it'll make some more sense. But going from top to bottom here on this basic tools tab, you have your image quality. So you'll notice the image quality, there are 3 buttons. There's default, there's high, and there's max. Now, this is the quality that the vectorizer puts out. Now, you see here, my lion turned out perfect and it's set to default. It's not set to high or max. So you don't necessarily have to use that max setting. And keep in mind that if you do use the max setting, it's going to take a minute because, again, high or max means that the vectorizer is going to try and capture even more details. Now, my lion here, he's simple. There's not a lot of tiny details in him. But if I was doing a smaller design, maybe for shirt tags, for example, then I would probably need to have high or max setting on there because I'd want all the details captured. But basically, this is how much detail the vectorizer is trying to vectorize. And again, I want to dispel this idea that everybody's, well, I got to set it to max, obviously, right? No. You see that my lion here turned out perfect on default. So you don't have to automatically set the quality to max. And if you do set it to max, just remember that it's going to take a hot minute. It's going to take longer because you're trying to vectorize even more detail. But that's what that means. So if I were to click on high, it would process, and maybe my corners turn out a little sharper. Maybe my edges are a little less rounded, that sort of thing. So the next section down is color count. Now, color count is where you tell the vectorizer how many colors is it trying to sense. So you got to remember, the image editor, the vectorizer, is not a human. It's a computer program. So obviously, I look at this line and I go, well, that's 3 colors. That's red, black, and white. The image editor doesn't necessarily know that. So if you tell it there's 6 colors, it's going to try to find 6 colors in there, and it's going to vectorize it that way. So in this case, I just told it that there are 3 colors, because there are. It's red, black, and white. So now this is a tool you might have to fiddle around with if you're losing detail. Again, it's not a human, it's a computer program, so it's not going to know what you're trying to do. So if you uploaded an elephant, a photograph of an elephant, how many shades of gray are there going to be in that elephant? Tons of shades of gray, or a photograph of a lion. There's going to be tons of colors. But if you tell the vectorizer how many colors it's looking for, it will simplify it that way. And then the one of the bottom 2 buttons there, you notice there's 2 bottom buttons. One of them says restore defaults, but more importantly is the one above that, remove background. Remove background. This is the button that we want. This is the thing that gets rid of that horrible white square. So remove background, super useful tool here. Super useful tool. So there's an extra toolbar here at the top, and you might have noticed this when we were looking on the other screen there. There's an extra toolbar. You see there's a magnifying glass and a hand to move things around. There's the undo and the redo buttons. But at the tippy top, the first icon is an eraser. That's what the little trapezoid is supposed to be. It's an eraser. So this eraser allows you to erase any other shapes on the lion that you didn't want. So I was able to get rid of my background by clicking that remove background button, but maybe there was another shape. Maybe there was something else in that lion clip art that I really needed to get rid of. I can use that eraser icon to erase any other shapes that I want to omit also. For example, if you had a bitmap that had two different designs, maybe I had a lion and a tiger mascot in the same art file, so they were in the same bitmap art file, I could use this eraser to erase any of the other chunks, any other piece of artwork, or extra stuff. Maybe it was a line of text. Maybe I actually had the word lions in this bitmap with my lion artwork. By using that eraser tool, I'd be able to click on the word lions and get rid of that as well. So another useful tool in the vectorizer to help you edit the design the way you want it, get it looking the way you want it to look. So once you've made all of the changes, once you've done all of the things, right? Once you've made all the changes, at the bottom right-hand side, you see those two buttons we talked about earlier, Use Original and Use Vectorized. So once I've made all the changes in the image editor, I've vectorized my lion, I got rid of the background, I click Used Vectorized for it to pop that into the actual online designer. So once I click Use Vectorized, it's going to load up my online designer, and sitting there waiting for me to use it is my lion. Okay, so again, the only reasons you're going to want to use original if you're doing digital artwork, if it's a photograph, if you've got something that's 3D with fading and shading, you'll want to use original for that. If you have artwork that's just a whole ton of details, a lot of little itty bitty details, the vectorizer, remember, is not perfect. The image editor is it's a piece of vectorization software that sometimes it makes mistakes. So if you have a really super detailed piece of artwork, it might do some silly things. It might grab some silly pieces, or it might shape something weird. So there's times when it's super detailed artwork that you just want to use original and not mess with the vectorized stuff. But again, I want everyone to notice how well it vectorized my lion artwork here. And let's be honest, this lion isn't anything that special. This is, the same type of mascot that most high schools out there have. All right, so let's talk about some of this advanced stuff here. Back on the vectorizer screen, we have two buttons at the top. One of them said basic, one of them said advanced. So we just looked at all the basic stuff. Now we're going to look at the advanced tab. So the advanced tab, this is not something you guys need to mess with necessarily. So I'm just going to say this at the very beginning here. This advanced tab, this is for people who are familiar with the vectorization process and you know what results you want, and you're trying to mess with it and you're trying to get specific certain results. That's when you're going to want to get into this advanced tab and start messing with it. If you're not looking for specific results, if you're rolling with the punches and you're going to let us take care of the finer details, and you're not looking for something specific per se, then you really don't need to mess with these advanced tabs here. And for the purpose of this webinar, we didn't really mess with this advanced tab at all. But let's look at what all of this is here. So at the top of the advanced tab, you see what I have on the left-hand side of my screen. It's the image color palettes. So this is where the vectorizer, when the vectorizer runs, the image editor, it's detecting how many colors you have in your artwork. And the whole point of that is because, again, it's a computer program. It doesn't know how many colors it's supposed to be finding. It's telling you, hey, I found all these colors. Which one of these color palettes is the one you want me to use? Now, on the basic tab, you don't have to go to this extent. On the basic tab, you can just tell it that it's supposed to be 3 colors. But on the advanced tab, you can actually choose which palette you want it to work with. And based on which palette you want it to work with, it'll vectorize the artwork that way. So again, this is one of those things that's not necessary. This is if you want to exercise a little extra control over the process. So it's similar to that color count on the basic tab, but it's getting more detailed where it actually lets you choose which one of the palettes that it's supposed to be working with. On the right-hand side, you've got our advanced slider tools. Now, these advanced slider tools, these are, again, this is terminology that folks who are in the graphic design community, you'll understand what this means. If you're new to this process, if you're not a graphic designer, then this might be something that you're not actually familiar with, and that's okay, because again, you don't have to mess with these. These are just extra little add-ons, right? Starting from the top and working our way down, you've got image resolution. So image resolution scales up the resolution of the original image so that more detail is available. So it's kind of like the option on the basic tab that was asking you, do you want to do default, high, or max? It's the same exact thing, but it's giving it to you in a slider fashion. You've got noise reduction, which removes noise or fading, shading. It removes dots. It removes the extra crud that might be around a low quality bitmap. It removes the extra quote unquote noise from low quality images before vectorization. You've got image sharpness. This sharpens the original image before the vectorization process. So this sort of makes the corners a little bit sharper, the edges a little sharper. Anti-alias removes unwanted blobs from the vectorized result. Okay. And then smoothness adjusts the smoothness of the vectorized lines. So if you see your result and it's a little too angular and sharp cornered, you can use the smoothness tool to sort of wear some of that down a little bit. Okay. And again, what I want everybody to get at this particular stage of the webinar is I want you to understand that this is not something you have to do. You do not have to use the advanced tab on the image editor. You can use the default tab and you can use the basic stuff. You do not have to go this route. This is just for the people who want to have a little bit extra control. So if you find yourself on this advanced tab and you're going, oh my gosh, I don't understand any of it, totally fine. Don't worry about it. These are just tools that are supposed to make your life easier. If it stresses you out, then don't bother with it. All right. So finishing in EZView, once you have finished the vectorizer, finish vectorizing your artwork in the image editor tool, use EZView for any further customization. So the whole point is you're seeing here on the left, this is what happens after I click that button that said use vectorized. After I click that use vectorized button, it pops my lion, boom, right there into EZView. Now, I do want to draw your attention to something. So after my lion has been vectorized, you'll notice on my color section over here, I told it 3 colors, and it's detected the 3 colors, just like we said. It's black, red, and white. But you'll notice there's these little exclamation points, okay? When you upload artwork and you vectorize it, these exclamation points, this is EZView's way of telling you, hey, I found these colors in your artwork. You got to tell me what Transfer Express colors you want me to use. Okay, so if we're screen printing this lion, you got to tell me that we're using Transfer Express black and stock red and our regular white. You got to tell me what colors you're putting in those places. So if you look at my example over here on the right-hand side, you'll notice that I don't have any exclamation points over my color boxes because we've clicked on each one of them. We've chosen the stock colors. We've taken care of business there. So we swapped out our red for gold. We also added some text. We added the Berkshire, the lions. We tilted our lion clip art, so he's on a little bit of an angle to follow that word Berkshire a little bit. We added the established 1963. And then from here, I can use that preview and share function that I showed you guys. I could add clip art. If I wanted to add some kind of artwork to this, maybe I wanted to put a baseball on the either side of the lion or something like that. I could do that here. I could add some of our baseball clip arts if I wanted to. Oh, Anthony's asking a good question here. Can you blend colors or fade? No, Anthony, no. Our online designer does not offer that ability because with our screen print process, our halftones are 30 dots per inch, and that's something that an actual human graphic designer needs to do. Alan's asking, do you have the ability to use Pantone colors? So on the online designer at this particular moment, no, but that is one of those things that is going to be added to the online designer at some point in the near future. What you can actually do, Alan, is let's say for that gold, I wanted a very specific gold. I wanted Pantone 124C. I would simply go into the notes section and I would state in the notes, in place of gold, please use Pantone 124C. Okay, so for those of you who have not used EZView, you're new to Transfer Express, you want to mess with EZView, you want to get in there and get your free trial. So again, at the very beginning, I told you guys how this does not cost extra. You do not have to pay a subscription fee for this service. What this is if you do not have an active account with us, if you've never ordered from Transfer Express, you can get a 30-day trial of EZView. To get permanent access to EZView, you simply have to place an order. As long as you place one order every 6 months, you will have continuous access to EZView. If you do not place an order every 6 months, then you do get locked out. And then you simply give us a call. We can unlock your EZView temporarily. And then again, you'll get access permanently once you place an order. But either way, if you do not have an account with us and you want to start your free trial of EZView before placing an order, you can do so by going to transferexpress.com/dealers/register/designer. You can also find this link on our main page at transferexpress.com. You'll notice that there is a start your 30-day trial link on transferexpress.com's main page as well. So it's free for all active customers. Like I said, there's no subscription fees or anything like that. You can place your order, place an order to activate your account. So once you get into EZView, you can actually place your first order with us as well. And the sign up process literally only takes a minute or two. It asks you some questions about your account, some questions about who you are, that kind of stuff. Nothing strenuous, nothing crazy. It takes just a moment. Woo-ha! We covered a lot of information and we did it in about 50 minutes. That wasn't bad, huh? So again, if any of you are sitting there scratching your head going, gosh, I am a little bit confused. I haven't used EZView before. Some of the things you said, Andy, were totally over my head. I totally get that. And in that case, what you'll want to do is go back and view some of our previous webinars about EZView. If you have used EZView before, though, I encourage you now to go there, jump on, and mess with a little bit. Play with the vectorizer. And you'll want to, if you don't have a file, find just a simple bitmap on your computer somewhere. Find maybe a local high school's mascot or something like that. Grab that and put that through the vectorizer. Remember to start with something simple. If you have something super complicated, it's going to overwhelm the designer and it's not going to work. So. Okay, so thank you everybody so much for attending. If you have any questions, I encourage you to shoot us an email, info@transferexpress.com. You can contact us as well. Our customer service reps are always more than willing to help you out and walk you through everything. And yes, Alan, my helper behind the curtain is fantastic, isn't he? Round of applause for my helper behind the curtain, Mike, who has joined you guys before on webinars as well, but he's staying quiet today. Well, verbally quiet, I suppose. I think he's been busy over there in that chat box. If you have not been to our blog before, please, please, please take a minute to visit our blog. It's blog.transferexpress.com. Our marketing team does a phenomenal job of putting fresh information there. That blog, sometimes it'll be industry info, sometimes it's garment info, sometimes it's artwork info. When we release our new fonts every month, we put articles in there about that. Sometimes it's creative stuff to give you guys ideas on how to make hip, new, interesting stuff. So absolutely go hit that blog. There's so much information there. Definitely worth your time. If you'd like to see some of the past webinars, not just the ones that I've referred to, but gosh, we have a massive webinar library. That's transferexpress.com/webinars to access all that good stuff. And once things get back to normal, definitely come check us out at the trade shows. We love it when people come up to us and tell us, hey, I've watched your webinars before. I've talked to you guys before. I want to introduce myself. It's always fun. So, all right, guys, that's what I got. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a great rest of your day and have fun playing with EZView and the image editor. Thank you.